Here's how we derive the law of sines. So let's just draw a random triangle ABC, and we're going to draw the height of base AC. Okay, so this would be perpendicular to that. Now let's look at, so that splits the random triangle into two right triangles. Let's look at this one first. If we look at A, what we can write down is that sine A equals opposite over hypotenuse, so it would be H over C. And then if we look at this right triangle, we're going to see that sine C equals opposite over hypotenuse, so we have H over A. Now I'm gonna do something with algebra, so I'm gonna multiply C on each side on this equation. Notice I'm gonna get an expression for just H. I'll do the same thing for this. I'm gonna get H equals A sine C. Okay, now since these two are the same side, so these two would also be equal. So I'm gonna write it down over here. I'm gonna have C sine A equals A sine C. Now let's divide A times C on each side and look at what happens. These C's just goes away and the A's go away, and then we're gonna have sine A over A equals sine C over C. This looks really pretty, so we'll wonder, okay, does this happen somehow, or is this somehow connected to B2? So let's find out. I'm going to erase these steps, but I will keep the conclusion over here. So this doesn't help us to connect, B, because it's kind of split this angle. So I'm going to, instead of drawing the altitude this way, I want to draw an altitude that way. So I'm gonna call this new altitude H prime. In fact, let me just use a different picture. So I'm going to just have this already drawn out, but I will name this H prime though. So let's take away this guy. All right. So it's the same triangle, but we're just looking at it differently. Now let's look at this right triangle right here. We're gonna have sine B equals opposite over hypotenuse, so that would be H prime over C. And then if we look at here, this right triangle, sine C is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. Now remember how we did the algebra steps before? I'm going to multiply on each side and then get an expression for H prime, which would be C sine B. Similarly, I'm going to get B sine C from this equation. Notice again, these two are the same. So then we can say that C sine B equals B sine C. And then I'm gonna divide C times B on each side. The C's go away, the B's go away. And we're gonna get something pretty similar to this one. We're gonna have sine B over B equals sine C over C. And notice this part, it's exactly the same as this part. Remember, it's the same triangle, so sine C over C is just the same value. So that means we can just then put this part over here and say that they equal. So there we have it. This is the law of sines. Now usually we would write it in a different order. It would be sine A over sine B over B equals sine C over C. But it's the same thing, and it's very useful.